I want you to be aware of how powerful we truly are and how our energy affects other people, both in a positive and a negative way. Did you know that our aura stretches out about 5 or 6 meters outside of us? This means that we can feel the energy of what's happening in the room behind the wall, or in front of our house, we can feel the person walking past us on the sidewalk. This might not be obvious to most people, but to those who become sensitive or to those who tune in, yes, we do feel it, because that is how far out our aura stands. Why am I talking about this today? It's a topic of metaphysics, and I'm trying to help people understand that energy affects energy, that everything affects everything, that there is no decision we make, there is no choice we make which doesn't have an impact on other people, especially ourselves. You may recall driving in traffic. You may recall a time when you were sitting in your car and you started to just feel this anger or this anxiety come over you. It's not necessarily you. It's the energy you're feeling around you, okay? When you're in peak hour traffic, you are likely inclined to feel the energy 3 cars in front, 3 cars behind, and 3 cars next to you even. So if you see somebody, you witness somebody cut someone off just ahead of you, you're automatically feeling their anger, you're feeling their rage, you're feeling their frustration. Okay, this is usually why sitting in traffic feels so crappy, yeah? It's part of the reason why I myself want to move further away from the city. I want to be in a quieter location, in a mountainous location that is peaceful, where there is less people, where there is more closer proximity to nature. And I'm not saying everybody has to live that way. It's just my choice. It's how I want to live. As a psychic reader, I tend to feel everybody's energy. And a lot of people ask me all the time, how do you do readings at the markets? You know, you've got people in restaurants, you've got people walking past constantly with their dogs, people yelling, people screaming, people at a low vibration, lots of stuff going on. It's true. For a long time, I wasn't really aware of how I did it. I'm just starting to understand now that I've just developed an ability to block it out. And some days it's really hard. Some I shouldn't say days, but some moments it's really hard, where I've done reading after reading after reading, and then someone comes in and they have an anxious energy, and I automatically pick up on it. And I start to feel nervous, and I start to feel shaky, and I start to feel unsettled. So that's the time when I need to step away, ground myself, breathe, be away from the noise. So I regularly do that these days to keep my energy fresh. And if I ever recognize that it's not, I'll go and take a bit of time. This is the sort of thing that you guys need to do as well, that we all need to do, really, whether you do what I do or whether you don't. Being around other people's energy constantly, doesn't matter who they are, you're going to feel what they feel, okay? Some days it's going to be stronger than others, no doubt. Now, the other reason I'm talking about this today is because we need to become more aware of our effect that we have on others and how others affect us. So the trick is to recognize when you start to feel feelings of anger, frustration, apathy, depression, perhaps before that stage. When you recognize, when you understand you're in that energy, at that time, it's not usually wise to be around people, okay? Unless that person has a really high vibration, unless that person has a vibration that can lift you up and heal you, okay? I'm not speaking from ego, but I've learned that I have this kind of vibration. I'm a life path 369. It's known as the number of man, and the 9 is a very highly healing number. Not only that, but various components of my astrological birth chart have been put together in a way that I have the healing energy, or a healing energy, that can help people just by being in their field. So A person such as myself would be beneficial for someone who is going through anger, frustration, apathy, depression, anxiety. Just being around that higher vibrational energy will lift that person out of it. Unless you can be around someone like that, I don't recommend in that state that you be around anybody. What you need to do, or what we need to do in this state, is to learn to move through the emotions. There's a really good book called Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender by David R. Hawkins, and he explains this really well. He talks about all the levels of consciousness that we go through and how to move through the emotions. Basically, it's about holding space for yourself. Basically, it's about learning to recognize when you're in that state and slowly move out of it by progressing through the emotions. Communicating, talking about how you feel is always important, whether it's with someone you trust or whether you write about it. Why writing is so important and why it's so useful as a tool is simply because you tend to get the thoughts out of your head. You tend to get the energy out of your body. You see, when we have a negative energy, we actually store it in the body. This is what Eckhart Tolle explains as the pain body. Okay, if you read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, you'll find that he'll talk about this and you'll understand where it comes from. But we have our own pain body from our past pain and from our accumulated stressful emotions that we hold in the body, and they can be held in various different places. No doubt, if you have neck problems, it can be one of them. If you have stomach problems, that could be another. It could be placed in various places. It just depends on where your energy is stored as an individual. Then we have a collective pain body. So the area we live in, you know, is it a low vibrational area? We will feel the energy of others, right? Like I mentioned, we have a collective ancestral pain body. So we can also feel the collective pain of seven of our ancestors ahead of us and 7 behind us. Okay, you must be wondering, how ahead, Matthew, how ahead? The thing is, there is no such thing as time. Everything is happening right now. It's a very complicated topic and I'm not going to go into it today, but it's part of the reason how I read people is I can feel the energy of the past and the future all now at once. Sometimes it's hard to decipher, but basically what I'm saying right here is that we have the innate capacity to feel ahead and feel behind and incorporate that energy into our current state. So that's why it's so important for us to heal generationally. So if we see a pattern from our parents that we don't like, it's very important that we don't continue that pattern, that we don't replicate it, that we don't create it with our own children. We need to recognize that it needs to stop with us. We're here to heal, plain and simple. We came into this existence, we came into this life, we came into this world with amnesia. We forgot who we were. We're ancient souls. We've been here many times before. It does depend on each individual, but we've lived many lives and essentially in many star systems as many different beings. And what we do is we come here to heal that, to learn that, to remember that. And the higher we vibe, the higher we raise our consciousness, the more we remember, the more our mind opens up to greater possibilities and we see the pain for what it is. So the best thing you can actually do when you're in apathy, when you're in grief, when you're in anger, when you're in depression, is to learn to work through those emotions. And the opposite of depression is expression, which is why it's so important to let things out, to communicate how you feel, to express yourself. And if you don't feel safe with someone, or if you don't feel as though you can, maybe write about it, like I said. But doing other things, creative things, things that you enjoy, things that you're passionate about, things that set your heart on fire, things that light you up inside, doing those things will help you enjoy your life. They will help you come out of that depression, that sadness, that internal feeling. And this is part of expressing yourself. So those are simple things you can do. And more self-awareness, more self-knowledge. I find that there is nothing better than meditation from personal experience, and you need to try it for yourself. You need to, if you've even tried it and you've found that it's really hard or it's difficult to meditate, don't give up. We all have busy minds to various degrees. It takes time to quieten the mind. And your job when you first meditate is not to shut the mind off. That's impossible. It's been on the run. It's been on the run for eons. What we need to do is to learn to just watch, observe. Observe the feelings, observe the things that we see and the things that we hear and the chatter that goes on. If we can just calmly sit back and observe and not judge ourselves, not be critical of ourselves, then meditation slowly becomes easier. But it is a practice, and you do need to practice often. Some people can do it, a couple times a week, and that's okay. Some people can do it a few days, some people do it every day. The more, the better, really. But if you can only manage a few days a week, even for just 10 minutes, it's going to benefit you. And I'm not selling you this because I'm going to get anything out of it. I'm merely telling you because I believe and I understand and I know that it can lift you into a higher vibration, which can make your bad days feel better and your bad moments feel easier. And you can recognize when you're around people that distort your energy. You can begin to have more boundaries. You can begin to see things more clearly. This is how we grow as humans. This is how we develop. This is how we become who we really are. So learn to recognize when your energy is off. Learn to recognize when you're feeling a little down, when you get a weird feeling or a sensation in your body. Write about it. What you'll find in meditation is that all the stuff that's been happening in your life, all the things that you've been sitting with, will come to you. It will come to you, and it's not bad. It's not bad to think those thoughts, to relive those thoughts, because you're clearing out. Just imagine it. Imagine it like an email inbox. And if you don't check your email often, you could say meditating is like checking your email. If you don't check your email, what happens? It builds and it builds and it builds. And you get hundreds and hundreds of emails, and all of a sudden it becomes overwhelming and you can't deal with it. Of course you can't deal with it. There's too much information you're holding. So when we meditate, we are able to process and release and work through and archive all of those emails. And that's why it needs to be a regular thing, okay? So start bit by bit, do what you can, become more aware of how you feel and how others impact how you feel. And choose to be in a place that feels good for you. And the more you can do that, the more you'll grow and the easier life becomes. I love you all. Have an amazing day, and sending you love, sending you healing energy. Take care.